This piece of advice helped me get my job at the Pentagon, helped me become a coach for MTV's Made, it helped me have a TV show in New York. There's so many things this piece of advice allowed me to do. How many of you'd be interested in me telling it to you this evening? I will only tell you if you're interested. Okay, I say a lot of hands out there, appreciate it. All right, well, basically it went a little bit like this. I was sitting on a park bench in England, of all places. And I had gotten a scholarship to study abroad, dream come true, because my family couldn't have afforded it. And I gotta tell you, even though I was there in that remarkable opportunity, I was having one of those days where nothing was going right. I don't know if you've ever had one of those days, and that little negative bully was like going into hyperactive negative overdrive, and I was sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm so worried about failing my exam tomorrow, and seriously, like why can't I find a boyfriend? I'm like 21 years old and I've never been kissed, and maybe my standards are too high, and I know they talk about gaining the freshman 15, but I've gained like the senior 50, and I don't know how I'm gonna pay off all my credit card debts, and the craziest thing happened. I looked over, and up pulling into the parking spot next to this park bench was a big black stretch Rolls Royce. And I was like, whoa, who is the owner of that car? Like, it is absolutely incredible. And I was like staring at this car, and the door slowly opened, and out got this short little old man wearing a pinstripe suit. He had big blue eyes and gray wispy hair. And I have this problem, like when I'm confused, I stare at people. and I notice when you like stare at people, they start to stare back. Have you noticed that? And here's the thing, I was like staring at this guy and staring at this guy, and this guy started staring back and staring back and staring back. And he actually walked over and he said, hello, I'm Philip O'Malley. Pleasure to meet you. And I was like, hello? And he was like, well, I can tell from your accent you're not from this country. What country you're from? And I said, well, the United States. And we got to talking, and it turns out this guy had a house that was bigger than my uncle's cattle farm. He had an amazing wife and an incredible family. He was on his way to a charity gala where they were raising money to eradicate polio. I mean, this guy was amazing. And I remember I asked him, I said, look, I saw your car and everything, and like, what is it that you do? And I will always remember what he said, because he got a little twinkle in his eye and he smiled, and he said, well, I'm just an egg farmer. I was like, a what? He said, I'm an egg farmer. I said, an egg farmer? I couldn't believe an egg farmer in a Rolls Royce. Like, yeah, right. And unfortunately, I have one of those faces that whatever I think like shows on my face. And so he kind of knew I was disappointed. He said, no. He said, I'm not being completely clear. Actually, my great-great-grandfather had an egg farming company that I built up into a huge empire that now supplies a lot of the eggs to Great Britain and Europe. And I thought, oh, egg farmer. And as he started to walk away, I thought, you know what? I gotta ask him one final question. And I said, Mr. O'Malley, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, I heard about your life and it just sounds incredible. What piece of advice would you give me to maybe try to be as successful as you are someday? And I will always remember what he said, because it changed my life. He got very serious at that moment. He lowered his voice and he said, I'm going to share with you a piece of advice that my father shared with me, and it's this. Remember your ABCs. I don't know about you, but I was like, what? That's like really disappointing. He said, no. He said, I didn't tell you the whole thing. He said, the best piece of advice I've ever received in my entire life is this. I didn't tell you the whole thing. Please listen closely. Remember your ABCs, always be confident. And if you don't feel confident, act confident, and no one will know the difference. And I thought that was really good advice. What was fascinating about this piece of advice is the true power is unleashed when you start to use it. Now, in order to use this advice, it's first important to remember it. And I'm going to share with you some specific ways this advice can transform your life. But before we do that, it's so important that we remember this information. We are going to do a little competition. So if we could get some house lights up real quick, we're going to do a little competition. If you could help me out with some house lights, what's going to happen is we are going to divide you up into 3 teams, all right? I don't know about you guys, but FCCLA has an incredible reputation. FCCLA has an incredible reputation, and your reputation is not just as some of the best leaders and the brightest, but also as some of the loudest. So I'm going to ask you to uphold your reputation as we engage in this little competition. How many of y'all up for a competition this evening? All right, appreciate it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask for your help. We're going to divide you up into 3 teams. Everyone on this side of this camera guy, could this camera guy wave to everybody? Could you wave to everybody, this gentleman right here? Everyone on this side of the camera guy is team number 1, all right? Is team number 1. Awesome. So this is good. Your team number 1's raring to go. Now, everyone in between the 2 camera guys is team number 2, all right? Team number 2. And everyone on this side of this camera guy is team number 3, and that's everybody on this side of the room, okay? So, now, I know what you're thinking, team number 2 is smaller, but you know what? Even though you're a smaller group of people, I know you still have the opportunity to win this competition. Now, in order to successfully implement this competition, I'm going to ask you to shout out your team motto. Now, the team motto basically is going to be one word for this team. Your team motto, whenever I go like this, I'm going to ask you to shout it out as loud as you can, and you're going to see why we're doing this in just a moment. Your team motto is the word always. So let's try it. Always. That's okay for a group this size. I know you can do better. Always. Outstanding. Okay, now this team right here, your team motto is the phrase be. All right, let's try it out. Whenever I go like this, I'm going to ask you to shout it out. Now you guys are going to be extra loud because you're less than half the size of the other 2 groups. So let's try this out. I know you can do this. I can count on you. Be. Wow, you know what I have to say? I think team 2 actually beat team number 1. Wow. That's impressive. That's very impressive. Now, team 1, you'll have the opportunity to redeem yourself in just a moment. I mean, this is crazy. All right, now team number 3. Your motto is the phrase confident, all right? So whenever I go like this, I'm going to ask you to shout it out from the core of your being, the word confident. 1, 2, 3. Confident! That was impressive. I have to say, you are louder than team number 2. That was very impressive. But you're going to have the opportunity to see who wins at the very end here. Now, in order to do this, we're basically helping to put into memory this most powerful piece of advice because we want you to be able to pull it out later to use it. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started. Please pay close attention. Whenever I point to your team, I'm going to ask you to shout out your team motto. The truth is, it's not always easy in life because sometimes we're up against things that might throw us off track. Sometimes we get filled with self-doubt. But whenever that happens, it's so important to remember your ABCs. But the truth is, it's not easy to. So the next best thing is to act. Why? Because no one will know the difference. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. I am so impressed. Wow, this was a tough conclusion, but I have to say, given the size of the group and how loud that they were, the award goes to team 2. Yeah. The truth is, this advice can be powerful. It can transform your life in ways you never expected. Now, imagine for just a moment in your own life. Imagine you are at a job interview, and inside, like you're shaking, but remembering your ABCs, just remember to be that little bit extra confident. Outside, your voice is steady, and your handshake is strong. Imagine for a moment that you're at a party where everybody is there. And maybe someone's pressuring you to do something you don't want to do, and you're kind of worried, like a lot of people, about fitting in. And just remembering that little bit of extra confidence gives you the courage to look that person in the eye and say, you know what, no thanks, that's not for me. Remembering your ABCs can be powerful, so let's do a commemorative, one last, final ring of the ABCs. Success principle number 2 is all about the ABCs. Yes, now out of curiosity, how many of you tonight learned one thing or were simply reminded of one little thing you think is going to support you and live in a better life? Could y'all raise your hand? All right, keep your hand in the air. Keep your hand in the air. I want you to look around the room. I want you to look around the room. Keep your hand in the air. Can we do a big pan of the audience? This is incredible. Do a big pan of the audience. Keep your hand in the air. Look around the room. Oh, that's great. Outstanding. I want you to give yourselves a huge round of applause because that's a huge compliment to you guys. Thank you.